The only places that like Formula One teams go and look is in the European Kart World Championships. So if you want to get there, the families have already spent like $1 to $1.5 million to get there. What sort of families can afford $1 to $1.5 million on their kid's hobby on the slim chance that they're going to get picked up?
Welcome to The Inevitable, a podcast by MotorTrend.
Hi there, and welcome to this episode of The Inevitable. This is our podcast, our video podcast about the future of cars, the future of mobility. And on this episode, what are the kids going to be doing? Yes.
I forgot to ring the bell.
How are the kids going to get into racing? And we have two incredibly special guests. But before that, I'm going to let Ed Lowe here say a word or two.
Yes, the Inevitable Vodcast is sponsored by nobody currently, and we're currently seeking sponsorship. So please, if you want to sponsor an episode, the whole season, t-shirts for us, booze for Jonny, shoot me a note, edward.loh@hearst.com, HEARST, or get into our DMs, probably on Instagram.
Hit us up.
And let us know. And you missed the part of the intro. You're supposed to tell the normal haters on YouTube to actually watch and listen to this episode, because it's not about EVs per se. It's not about that stuff that most of the YouTube audience tends not to like. This is a really
just
cool,
our YouTube audience. There's plenty of YouTube audience out there.
Yes, it's this one is a very cool conversation with two really interesting guys, Ferdi Porsche and Rob Smedley, who are starting the FAT Karting League. This is a new karting league that only recently came to the United States. The goal is to democratize karting, which it can be horrifically expensive for anybody who wants to get into the sport. And we're talking about racing karts. This is the stuff that would eventually lead to the top tiers of racing. And
so like if your kid's dream involves your dream of them being in F1 because you didn't make it, this is a cheaper way to do it than the traditional karting series.
For all of you fans of Formula One Drive to Survive and all those hot young drivers with cool accents that come from, fancy European countries.
Yeah, Monaco.
They came through karting leagues, probably in Europe, and learned how to drive very quickly in what eventually becomes formula cars via a program similar to FAT, yes, FAT, not P-H-A-T, F-A-T, karting, which we'll get into. And our guests, again, you might know the name Porsche, it's an unknown Swiss company famous for making refrigerators.
Not that
one. The German sports car manufacturer. Ferdi is the great-grandson of the founder of Porsche. And then
Dr. Porsche.
If that's not enough, his partner on the technical side, the engineer that runs this, Rob Smedley, this guy is a race engineer for a very small unknown racing team called Scuderia Ferrari. Yeah. And he also supported a very unknown, never won very many races, race car driver by the name of Felipe Massa, among many other race car drivers. He very smart, you can tell, very experienced in the world of racing. Ferdi, also huge racing fan. And
can drive. I saw this dude flinging around a Taycan on the Fat Ice race in Austria last year, and I was like,
well, he would have to. His name is, can you imagine the pressure of a guy with the last name Porsche? And if he couldn't drive?
I'm just saying, I was like, he was doing full Dorifto on the ice.
He better. His name is Porsche.
You know what? Enough about us.
Yes.
Let's get Ferdi and Rob out here.
Ferdi, Rob, thank you so much for coming onto the show. Special thanks to Ferdi you just got off a plane from Austria, is that correct?
In that case, Frankfurt today.
Frankfurt, okay, so that's lovely. And it's body clock wise, it's like midnight or 1 a.m. your time.
I have no idea.
Okay,
but it's fine.
Yeah, 9 hours from now. Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you.
11:30 maybe.
And Rob also for braving Hollywood traffic to get here and then having to go back in that traffic. So thank you so much. We're talking about karting, FAT karting, right? So. First of all, this is great because we both have young sons. Neither of us have any kind of driving talent, and we haven't passed it on to our children.
I mean,
at least I don't
a
think.
modicum.
No. So I was actually researching the FAT Karting League because of a couple of folks I follow on Instagram. And then when this lovely opportunity came through via your PR guy, Jordan, I was like, oh, yeah, we definitely want to talk to these guys. So for our audience, who I'm sure is as ignorant as we are, what is the FAT?
Ed loves our audience.
I just tell it like it
They're
is.
as ugly as
How
we
many
are.
views is
They
this gonna get?
smell, they smell bad.
But they can drive.
Yes.
Well, maybe.
What is FAT Karting League? How do you tell? How do you explain?
Do I start?
What's the pitch? What do you tell people?
Okay, the very elevator pitch is we build a system. Rob actually started building a system and we came in a little later and then added the FAT to Karting League. And basically the whole idea is to democratize motorsport because it's a sport that 1.6 billion people watch and it's really hard to get in. And karting is a very sort of expensive sport to do. Okay. And it's not like the ball sports of any kind.
Right.
And maybe we're still not exactly there yet, but the whole idea is basically that now it becomes a question of do I bring my kids to piano lessons or do I actually bring them racing? Piano lesson is just an example here of something.
Right.
It's kind
But
of
you're paying a reasonable amount of money, whereas, you always hear like everyone who's in F1 now, they started karting and they were rich. And there's not a lot of like poor kids who start karting
So it's like
because
one
it's
and a half.
expensive.
So if you want to like there's this like weird notion which is none of it's true, right? There's so many myths to debunk here, right? If you want to get to like F1, there's these families that kind of start in karting. The only places that like Formula One teams go and look is in the European Kart World Championships, right? So if you want to get there, the families have already spent like $1.5 million to get there, and then
Right.
maybe you're going to get picked up because you're in the mix. But like, what sort of families can afford $1 to $1.5 million on their kid's hobby on the slim chance that they're going to get picked up?
Right.
So it's crazy, right?
I'm sorry, $1.5 million over what time period? From what age to what age would they be
We're
spending?
talking
that amount
like
of money?
kids can start at 6, 7, like all Grand Prix drivers or even like, the top IndyCar drivers, they'll start at like 6, 7 and then they will like elevate the ways up like through the categories of karting. Eventually they'll get to like European Kart World Championship, something like that. And then they're going to get picked up. There's this myth that maybe they get picked up.
Picked up at what? So between 6 and 7 to what, like 15 or 16? You would spend.
Yeah,
you'd spend like $1 million.
they're like 12 to 14 by the time they start to compete at the top level. And yeah, but it's the reality is like who can afford it?
Right.
Nobody, right? 0.001% of the world can afford like $1.5 million on their kid's hobby, and then even if you get there, right? Like the chances of getting picked up and the chances of getting sponsored are just so remote and so slim.
20 out of 8 billion.
The
Right?
crazy thing is the sport is such a sort of numbers-based, the stopwatch doesn't lie kind of sport, right? Like it's only about timing. And then for the fact that it is like this, the whole system or the whole way for kids to get into the sport is completely different, right? It's based on money, and then like there's some old white guy sitting next to the track and looking at a kid who's potentially going fast. But it's not at all data-driven, and that's also one sort of big angle of Karting League is that we can normalize the data of all the kids that race in our
So tell us what you're doing differently. So how does FAT change the paradigm of what, the F1 feeder pipeline?
Cost
Okay.
and accessibility, right? So we collapse the price point by, if you say that you want to be, a national level karting, it's like 100K, 150K, something like that. You can do our championship in terms of dollars for about 5K, right? We realize it's still 5K, but there's many, many more families can afford 5K per season than there is families that can afford like 150K per season, right?
Yes. Many more.
like-
So where in those other, and I know a little bit about how the karting has developed, like Lewis Hamilton, that there's the tale of him being signed at whatever, I think 4 or 5 years old or whatever, and then them watching.
More like 12, I think.
Was it
But
12?
Yeah.
Well, at early age, and I guess it's the newer generation that's being
Yeah.
signed much earlier and being watched because of what Lewis did. But when you talk about $1.5 million to go from 6 to 12 years old, or $100,000 to $150,000 for one of these championships, what's involved in that cost? Like, what are people paying for? The cart?
The problem is now, and that's also where our league is very different, right? Ours is arrive and drive. So you come, you get a ticket, you get into the cart, and you drive. The way it works now is that there is a lot of people who make money off of these parents who are kind of like wanting to bring their kids into the sport and who have no idea how to do it. So there's a mechanic, there is somebody who sells you the tires, there's somebody who you buy the cart.
So
you
in
have to
other
buy
words, what the current model is like Ferrari Challenge, where it's like you have to buy your own mechanic, you got to pay Ferrari to service the things, you're buying the tires, and you guys, it's like more arrive and drive.
Well, actually, it's even less regulated than Ferrari Challenge. 'Cause
Sure.
You've got a whole like base of different chassis.
He's the Ferrari guy.
Yeah, a little bit of history with Ferrari.
We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about that.
Just a bit.
So there's a whole range of chassis that are open. There's a whole range of like different engines, and then the top teams will be buying like multiple engines. Like 10, 20 engines for a season, something like that. They will be constantly getting tuned because these are two-stroke like high performance engines. So the costs are like really high, like just your capital costs, right, of the equipment that you got to buy. Then you've got multiple sets of tires, but then it's even deregulated about how much time you can have on the track. So like you can get kids that there's actually kids. There's a whole swathe of kids that aren't going to school anymore. They're sat on in a go-kart track for like 5 days a week testing, like throwing like thousands of dollars a day at it. And this is the perceived path to Formula One. So what we're doing, it completely changes the paradigm. It's arrive and drive. It's fixed cost. There's no like this. A family can plan, right? You can't really plan in an unregulated sport. How are you planning for what your budget is? You can go into it and say, I'm going to be really squeaky, but then a new part comes out, a new component that you've got to have, unless it's not, or maybe your engine isn't performing, so you've got to spend more on that. And what you find is the families kind of get to a limit where they can't spend anymore, right? And then because they can't spend anymore, they're not keeping up with the guys at the front, and then it becomes a miserable experience for the kids. So we just wanted to change the whole game and collapse the price point and make it much more simpler.
Okay.
Could you walk us through like what a season of FAT Karting looks like from the family's involvement? Like because my kid, he's 8, he just started karting and he loves it. He's just like totally into it, which is like another, everything he likes is a fortune these days. But I'm interested in FAT Karting because Willow's right here, So.
So what does the season look like? So normally in the beginning we have tryouts. So the idea of that is to get as many kids into the cars as possible. So that's a few weekends that we just host tryouts basically for the kids in the new geo. You just mentioned Willow. So Southern California is our third hub that we've opened, and basically we want to get as many kids to try the karts and see what it's like. And then ideally they commit to buy a season pass. And the season pass is 10 races. And you go through these races, you collect points. You basically do the full season and you try to qualify for the World Finals, which are happening for the first time this year, also in Willow Springs in December.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
We like Willow Springs.
I
It's a
saw
nice
that
place.
car track. That is like, that's
looks
sick.
nice.
Yeah.
So Willow is the third hub, the latest hub. What are the other two places you're?
So it's not just one racetrack, right? It's almost always a geography.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So the first hub was in the UK, where Rob is based, basically where all the F1 teams are based. So I think that's kind of, we have a good crowd, right? They're all really skeptical, like they come from the old system. I think it's a cool proof point that we're at 96% occupancy rate there now.
Yeah, we're nearly sold out.
We're nearly sold out every
great.
year there in the UK now. Second hub was in Chicago and sort of Midwest area, and now we're in Southern California.
Chicago. What
Chicago has a lot of cars. There's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
a lot
of
of people.
cars.
Huge car culture, Chicago, in Indianapolis, like all around that area. There's
Lots
a
of tracks.
tradition. Yeah, lots of tracks.
That's right, close to Indy. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So we're like kind of we go between Indy and Chicago.
Okay.
So that was the first year. So the first year was this year, as Ferdi said. Oh dear.
for the podcast listeners? That was a mobile phone.
Papa?
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
No, go ahead.
Do you want me to start again?
No,
No,
that's
it's
fine.
good.
Oh, we're running?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it going. For real.
This is relaxed.
Yeah. So
So 3 hubs, UK, and then in the UK, what would have been if you're at 96% occupancy? Who are you taking from? Like, is there a league that you're competing against?
No. This is the beauty of it, right? Everybody think like when we first started this, everybody like in the incumbent system, the really expensive system, they were like, like Rob and Ferdi are moving in, they're going to take all of our customers. I'm like, dude, like we don't need your customers, right? If your customers want to come, they want to come.
Right.
Like because we've collapsed the price point, right? Here's a stat for you. Because we collapsed the price point as far as we have, we open up the market by 1,000x. Yeah. So this is like blue ocean stuff, right? This is new market stuff. We're bringing like lots of new families into it. In fact, the vast majority of the guys that we brought in from both Midwest, in the UK, what we're seeing in California, are new families who've wanted to do it and haven't had the opportunity. And that's always the resounding message that we get. It's always the recurring message that, you know, we couldn't have done this without, you know, like, you know, little Jimmy or little Jane. They wanted to do karting forever. They just couldn't have done it. So we're not taking from anybody. In fact, we're creating the market.
Because very few people are like, well, I was going to spend 150,000, but now I'll just spend 5. You're right. They're still going to spend the 150, right?
Yeah,
I think you can. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, like it's coming from Formula One, right? You see like this the pathway of these guys that get to Formula One, and there's this well-trodden pathway. And what you've got to imagine in our series is you arrive, you're given your kart, it's a full service, so everything's taken care of, right? But you can't buy an advantage, right? So there's lots of people in the world, well, not lots of people, but there are people in the world who have the means that don't want to be in that system, right? I don't want to be in a completely meritocratic, democratized system.
Right. I want to cheat.
I would rather give myself an advantage. And hey, that's the nature of capitalism.
That's
racing.
Well,
it's racing. Yeah, it is racing. I think that bit's wrong. But it is the nature of capitalism, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But here's an alternative for you. Here's an alternative that works, that is meritocratic, that is democratized, that is much more affordable, much more accessible for all the families. So if you want to be here, you can. And we do even get families from this super expensive coming in. Yeah, for sure, yes, because like they're getting priced out, it's becoming more and more difficult. And they see this as something that actually I don't have to bankrupt myself and my kids can have fun.
And even like in the F1 paddock now, right? It's not like every F1 driver has spent a fortune. Some of them were lucky also in a sense, or I don't know, like Schumacher grew up on a kart track and therefore had the possibility to like drive a lot even without big money behind it. So there is obviously already some drivers in the system who made it anyways, right? So
how did you get involved? Because this originally was a program you, Rob, had started, and then FAT. First of all, okay, so what is FAT? And how did this become the FAT Karting League?
Yeah. So FAT used to stand for Français Allemand Transit. So it was a transit company, like a trucker company, logistics, basically, that transported fashion from Paris to Germany. And they sponsored all the coolest race cars of the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Porsches, Ferraris, Saubers, everything. Up to now, we found like 60 or something race cars that had like either a small FAT sticker or like a full FAT livery. And they won Le Mans twice. And basically, it kind of derived from what I started in Austria, which is ice race. Mm-hmm. So we did ice race pre-COVID twice, and the whole idea of that was change how motorsport, or open up motorsport to a younger crowd, a younger group of people, right? So I obviously grew up on a ton of car events, and I always thought, this is so cool. I love the things. I love the car as like the conversation starter, but everything around it is kind of boring, and I wanted to create something more fun, more open, add some music, culture, something that like young people would feel that it's okay to come into the sport. And I think now like a lot has changed in the last 6, 7, 8 years since we started this. So I think like the whole sort of car culture thing has opened up in a sense, right? And I think Instagram did a big job, etc. So
I was just gonna say, I went before you get to how you get in the karting. I went to the ice race in Austria last year, and it was awesome, and B though I was I noticed like the price point, because I've gone to Pebble Beach like 15 years in a row or whatever, and it's great, but like a quail ticket is $1,200. It's $400 to get on the lawn. It's $1,200 to stay at the Hyatt, which is basically a motel, per night. Just the money's impossible for most people. But like, you guys were charging whatever it was, €100 or something like that. And it was packed and it was youthful and everybody was partying and fun. And it was just like it was a really good time. I was totally impressed.
Yeah. I mean, the motto is even fun over speed, right? Because the ice track, you can obviously never make sure that the guy who starts first and the guy who starts at the very end of the day have the same conditions. So it's not like your typical sort of proper race where like everybody takes it super serious. And like that automatically kind of transforms it into fun over speed and sort of like bringing people together and just enjoying, like using the car as a conversation starter, but basically the people bring the party. Right. And so then COVID hit and I thought, okay, I started something that is really cool. People like it. I met some cool people through it. There's some sponsor activity, like people want to get involved. Maybe there is something there. And that's when I kind of like looked at all old race cars from Porsche and the logos on there, because I was looking for something that could kind of capture what we started with ice race and kind of open it up for us to do different stuff than just a winter event, basically.
So you acquired FAT, the brand, or did you
Yeah,
have...
it was dormant, basically.
Really?
Yeah, it was not there anymore. And
do you
I
do
like
that?
I
You
literally stumbled, like it was a very fast process, right? I looked at the Le Mans winners of Porsche and there was FAT International. I was like, what the fuck is FAT International?
Yeah, exactly.
How cool is that?
That is super cool.
Because it kind of already has this like, has everything that we did with ice race anyways in the name already, and it has heritage, it has a cool logo, etc.
It's a
It's
great logo.
it was a delisted company in France or something, and you could just buy the...
It was a German guy, and I don't know if the company was based in Germany or France, but it was going between the two countries. I wrote him a letter also. I've been in touch with him in a sense. He never really replies, but I heard from a friend. I think he's rather old now, but I heard from a friend of his that he really likes what we're doing, and
That's great.
he's
Send us some
excited.
t-shirts,
And
man.
I did
All
send
right,
him
so
some t-shirts.
FAT joining Rob. How did he
how
get
does
involved with the
you
karting?
guys...
So, I mean, from the ethos of what we're trying to achieve, it was kind of a perfect match, right? So we tried to do, we already kind of try to change motorsport from the spectator's perspective, and he had created a tool basically to change it from the ground up. And so we met through a friend, and Rob was in the middle of raising money, and I figured this would be a perfect match for FAT to get involved. And then also kind of like in the beginning, I didn't even thought that there was a potential to do a full joint venture, but that's kind of what happened. We clicked and decided to do this together.
When I started it, I wanted to see whether it worked. That was the point, right? So we can build it. I put some money behind it. We built karts. Like we designed all the electric drivetrain. We run the championship. We kind of got the model at proof of concept, and we ran it for a couple of years in the UK. But what I was always cognizant of, because like I'm an engineer by profession, so I wanted to like do it under the radar. You know, I didn't want to start a business which was all about like marketing with no substance underneath. I've done it like in probably the exact opposite of a way to build a successful company.
Right.
But I got the product like somewhere near right. But I always had in the back of my mind that what I can't do, what I don't bring, is brand. Right? Is brand, making this actually like a community-driven, action-orientated like entity. And I always knew that I wanted to make it cool, right?
The
If you
fun
look
thing, sorry to interrupt, but the fun thing is he says that, but he built exactly that. I mean, that's basically what Karting League is, right? People already kind of like go there and gather, and like it already
kind
is
of
the
yeah.
whole sort
But
of
I get what you're
community
saying.
thing
I mean,
already.
I noticed at the ice race, like the branding is so spot on. Like I'm like, ooh, I need to get like a scarf that says FAT, even though
Yeah.
I don't at all. I live in LA. I don't need a scarf ever. I bought a scarf. I got a toque. I bought like a flask. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah,
because
from my point of view, like that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be like cool. It's got to be like for the kids, by the kids, right?
Right.
It's not. It can't be about like some middle-aged guy starting a karting league. And that's when like Ferdi and I started.
That's when
talking.
where the second middle-aged man comes in.
Yeah, you're a young kid.
So it had to be like like something very differentiated in terms of the brand and the community and the feel and the look of it. And that's where like Ferdi and I started doing. I was like, this is like great. Like why don't you guys just take care of all that stuff?
Nice.
And I'll carry on doing the noughts and ones.
So for the listeners, if you're totally new to this, just Google FAT, the ice race, the karting league. The merch is really cool. The logo is cool. It's got the vibe. It's got the 70s, 80s racing vibe. White and blue, cool colorway. You'll get it once you see it. The website's actually very slick too. The way you kind of engage with it. I was doing a little research. But let's talk about the cars, because this is where you came in, Rob. Like, so they're electric karts, fully designed from the ground up by you and your team. Like what specs? What was the mission here for the kids?
So number one mission is this: that they have to be racing karts, right? People like it's not always if you're completely new to this and you think of karting, maybe you think of like the indoor thing, like the leisure, the fun end of it, right? But there's lots of that already exists, right? That's already a democratized and a saturated market. Like, you know, there's big like businesses over here. There's big businesses.
K1's the big one out here.
I want to talk about that.
K1 is across here. There's a business called Team Sport in Europe. You know, I think those guys are like starting to like go into each other's market, whatever, right? It's kind of democratized. You can go and do that. It's a bit of leisure.
Yeah.
But if you want to go and do the outdoor stuff, like where is a standardized and democratized league, right? Which is like affordable or more affordable. So that didn't exist, which is what we're doing. So these are outdoor racing karts, right? You can start at 5. There's 3 categories for the 5-6-year-olds. Then you go up to like the 10-year-olds kind of thing, and then you go up to the bigger kids, like which go all the way up to 16. These things will do like 65 mile an hour. They're proper racing karts. They handle like racing karts. They teach the kids how to drive. It's no surprise that in the market where we've got a bit of maturity in the UK, always the same kids that win, right? Which means that they are the best kids. They're going to be coming across here to compete with the best like US kids, and because the karts are like a single fleet of a single standardized fleet of more or less similar performance. And you kind of dodge about the karts all season. You're never given the same kart, so you're in and out of different karts. So your performance is like kind of standardized across the season. You know, it's averaged out over the season. It's balanced. So it had to be racing karts, and they had to have like a given level of parity. And the best way to do that really was through the electric drivetrain. So we designed the electric drivetrain from the ground up. Basically, like I just took the knowledge that I had from like an MG UK, which is like the electric part of a Formula One car. So we took that, pretty simple, like 3 basic components. We've then started to design like all and integrate our own electronics behind it, which is really cool. That's going to blow it up. And yeah, we're on the 3rd generation of the drivetrain now. We'll continue to iterate. Generation 4 will be coming out in at the back end of next year. And we'll just continue. Like, we just want to keep pace with technology. Chassis themselves are fairly simple. They're like tubular steel frame.
Are they like off the shelf?
Yeah, we have a partner that we do that with. You know, there was no. I don't want to. You know, as an engineering, we didn't want to build an engineering business that did like tubular steel chassis, because they're so simple to kind of just go out and get a partner to do that. So we do that, and we build a lot of components. They're bespoke built for our specification.
And the MG UK that's the hybrid assist motor from a F1 car, or like in
motor generator unit kinetic.
WC. Yeah.
The whole idea basically is electric makes it easier to maintain. It makes it cheaper, and it makes sure that the playing field is leveled.
Right.
So everybody has the same power, and if the parents complain afterwards, we can show them that they had the same power.
Or just throw them in another.
Well, okay. So
and one more thing, maybe the carts or the cart still behaves like a combustion car. So the power curve is basically similar to a combustion car, because otherwise you could kind of like say that if you go from an electric car to like combustion car racing after, what's kind of the idea of the whole thing, right, is to end up in Formula One at some point. Then maybe you haven't really learned driving properly if you can cheat your way out of corners.
Is there shifting? Are these single speed?
No. They're just direct drive single speed. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then there's that, right? Because you're not teaching kids to.
No, but even like the incumbent system doesn't do that. There are shifter karts, but like you don't do that until you get in a car. But nobody's shifting anymore these days, right? People are shifting like this.
Yes. So
2 pedals.
Right.
And then not that I would know anything about this. What's the power? Like, what do you tell people the output, and then it's the battery's on board. How long can they go? Like, what's a race distance?
So the biggest one is around about 12, 13 kilowatts of power. Like all up the cart will be like, with the kid in it, will be like 160 kilograms. So
that's like 20 horsepower and 340 pounds, something like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to do that. We would have wasted the rest of the hour.
I spent so much of my life doing imperial to metric conversion.
Anyway, power to weight ratio is really high. Like, you can't just like, you're not flat everywhere with that type of power and that type of weight.
No, they're fast.
They're fast.
20 horsepower.
And they last like 25 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
We built the battery to last like 25 minutes, sorry. But we never really get anywhere near like depleting the battery all the way anyway, because of the way that we run the event. Like the 3 categories are constantly out on track at different times. So when one category's out, the other one's in charging, and the kids are away. And
Are they quick charging?
Oh, yeah, say, how do you charge them at the track?
we built our own charging system.
Oh,
So we built that from the ground
bring
up,
it.
and we just plug it in. And we set all that up. So each circuit that we go to, it's like a roaming championship, right?
Yeah.
We go there. We set up like the pit lane. We set up the like all of
It's
the.
like a
areas.
baby Formula One.
It's like a baby Formula One, and we put all the charging out, and the carts roll in and roll out.
how quick to charge? How long does that take?
Well, I mean, you can like for your more nerdy.
Nerds. Yeah.
For your
We have a couple of
more-
nerds that listen.
So we
Nerds that can
charge at around about we can charge it around about like 3-4C, something like that. So we can charge we could charge if we wanted to in about 20 minutes. We're currently developing a battery that we can charge in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do that because you don't need to, right?
What's the point?
Carts,
Yeah.
the
Too
carts are
expensive. Yeah.
well, the carts are out on track, and like the other categories are out on track running. So you just charge to that window, but we can really do what we want. Like we're
Right.
not limited by.
So you don't pull the. It's not like pull the battery out.
No,
Swap
no.
another one in.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a like when it comes to that type of stuff. I'm a purist, because I'm like, okay, if you can have removable batteries, you can have sliding seats, you can have like pedals that like are all like movable by the drivers. You know, like in a leisure cart. But that's not a racing car. You're adding mass and you're adding compliance to the vehicle.
Okay.
And if you add compliance, like the one thing that you need out of a racing car is stiffness and like a complete lack of compliance, so that the driver can feel the tires through his derrière.
Buttocks.
So you,
You've said this a few times that like they have to be a racing car. What's the big difference between like what like a typical indoor track would have and what the FAT cars?
an electric car
Yeah,
from K1,
K1
and one of yours. What would be the big?
what's
What
the
would be the big
big-
differences?
Mass. So ours would be much lighter. The chassis would be much more flexible. So like you start to drive it, like don't forget that like a kart is like a single axle. Yeah, it's like, so it's kind of like having a spool diff in the
Right.
car. So it's a fixed solid axle at the rear. So the only way you can get it to go around the corner at high speed is that you're going to lift one of the wheels up at the back. So you've got to have a very flexible chassis. So we kind of like we design all of the chassis and all of like the vehicle dynamics. We've got like full simulation tools where that's all been designed in, so that the cart will go around the corner really, really quick. So the difference is that these are much lighter. They handle like almost like a racing car. They handle the same in a racing car, where you brake on top of the corner, you turn very, very late. And acceleration and power is a completely different ballgame. You couldn't put our carts in an indoor track; it would just be too dangerous.
Yeah,
you know,
you'd
just
hit
end up
everything.
you'd end up with broken carts and broken kids in like the first hour.
Okay. And then
Which is fun, but not legal. Yeah.
Let's do it.
If it's the neighbor's kids.
I've seen the pictures on the site, but now that we're talking technical, where's the MGUK and the battery relative to the driver? Is it the side and back, or?
So, like, if you take the biggest and heaviest one, which is like the 20 horsepower one, we put like the motor and we put the motor and a single battery, a single like 1 kilowatt hour pack on the right hand side, and then we put two other single kilowatt hour packs. So it's like modular on the left hand side, and then that kind of like balances it. We played about with it in simulation and did lots of calculations to get like the balance like really, really nice, so that the things like, you know, it doesn't go around the corner, like a right hand corner different to what it goes around the left hand
right.
corner. We did
It's
a lot
not a
of work.
NASCAR.
No. No. In Europe, we like to go around both directions.
Okay, now I'm gonna put my
Don't shoot
worried.
me.
What do you know about Europe?
Not a lot anymore.
Brexit joke.
I'm gonna put my concerned parent hat on and say, well, I've heard all these things about Teslas catching fire, or the cell phones and the batteries in the cell phones exploding. You expect me to put my kid in between two of these big batteries? How dare you? Like,
Well, they're small batteries.
Yeah, they're fairly small.
they're bigger than the battery in this.
They're bigger than that one,
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, what we've been very like, you know, even in Formula One, when you think about what is the principal parameter that you are designing for, you're in racing, you're always designing for safety, right? And this may sound weird to people like kind of who watch Formula One but have never been on the inside, but the number one thing that you're always designing for is safety. You do safety, you do legality, you do reliability, and then you do performance. And if you always have that hat on, like from a design point of view or an operational point of view, you're going to make sure that you're never in a situation that you regret. So one of the things that we have designed is like a battery monitoring system, which connects via CAN, if there's any of the geeks out
Closed
there.
area network, CAN bus, yes.
Yeah, so we connect through CAN protocol into the battery management system, and also into the ECU, so we can monitor all of these things. So if we start to see any kind of like temperature increase, which is outside of the norm, the system notifies the engineers. There's smart alarms that tell us what's going on, and then at that point, when we see that we're going to get thermal runaway, just to debunk another myth, it usually takes around about 9 hours before it sets on fire. So you can actually put it in the back of your car, drive up to Scotland, throw it in the sea, drive back down, and it would just be about setting on fire.
This is another clue. You know, Rob's a real engineer. He used thermal runaway instead of saying fire. So there you go. Okay.
Also, you can tell he's English.
All right. So
real quick. I looked it up, or I did the math, I should say. So it's about 16, 17 horsepower and 352 pounds.
okay.
160
Still
kilograms.
hell of a power to weight ratio.
Yeah.
Okay, and all the vehicles have I can tell pretty advanced telemetry. You can see what each kiddo in the car is doing around the track at any given time, so they can come back and look at their cornering speed or their racing line. And is that part of the learning and the training?
So this is, Ferdi mentioned it before, this is a real differentiator for our league, because when we sat down and we thought about like scaling this, right? The ambition is that we want to scale it into 50 different territories, right? Now,
That's
so that
ambitious.
means that, so 50
next
different
5
places
years.
around the world in the next 5 years.
Wow.
Right? So that's going to, if we're going to have the traditional method of scouting, like i.e. going and standing on the side of the fence, that's going to keep me and Ferdi really busy at weekends. Now he has like a playboy lifestyle,
Right,
like I don't want to interfere with.
You got to maintain that. Yeah. It's good while it
No, I'm
lasts.
joking.
It
I'm
goes
joking.
away.
I'm joking.
We're not
I'm
hating,
joking.
right? We're all jealous.
I'm jealous. That's why I
Rob, it
mentioned
goes
it all
away,
the
right?
time.
Yeah.
Says the man who spent like 25 years in Formula One.
No, but in like jokes aside, so we need to have a data-driven like system where we're actually identifying the kids. So we've designed like an electronics box. It's still in early stage like development, but like through like having an RFID like wristband on the kid, they tap into the cart. We know which kid in which cart, in which session, in which country, on which track. We know all of that, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And then we start to drag the data off. We put that in the cloud. We're using exactly the same type of analytics and simulation, because we built all of that internally, that we would have done in Formula One to make like the driver go faster, but we're using it now for a completely different purpose. So we're using all of that methodologies. We're already getting data on the kids that we understand what they're doing. We're going to make that much more granular next year as we go to the next generation of this like electronics box. And then the next output to that is we want to start outputting straight to the kids as well. So we want to put it on an app on their phone, which says to them, you know, in this particular corner, you brake too early, you brake too late, you turned in too late, whatever it is, and you start to give them that feedback.
And you can also show them where they are in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like you are, I don't know,
yeah.
top 10% of all of the kids driving karting
that's
league, and then
pretty
they
cool.
can like.
So this sounds like you got the business of democratizing karting to the masses, expanding into 50 countries, but then you also have this maybe future, perhaps bigger program, which is driver development, like identifying top talent, and then maybe you can be their entryway.
Fat
to-
athletes.
Yeah, yeah.
Intended. No, the whole,
right?
the
Fat
whole
drivers.
No, I mean the whole.
drivers, yeah.
So basically, now we've developed a system for 5 to 17, right? And then what do you do?
Right.
Basically, then you hit another ceiling, right? Because F4 is usually what you would do next.
Right.
That's around $1 million, or euros even. Then F3, 2 million per season, right? F2, which is right underneath Formula One, and F3 and F2, you already follow the F1 calendar, which already kind of makes it more expensive, etc. That's what F2 is, 5 million a season, something
Yeah,
like this. So
maybe
it
less,
just
but yeah,
becomes
more.
crazy expensive
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
right? So we decided.
But you have sponsors at that point. I mean, right? I mean, when
Yeah,
you're
you might
doing
have sponsors at
formula,
that
you're-
point. But sometimes you as the kid are required to get your own sponsors.
Sure,
And
sure.
I mean, think of football, for example. You're never required to get your own
Right,
sponsors,
right,
right? Like a sponsor would just be additional money for you if you're, I don't know, if you're a cool guy or whatever, if you're doing great, then you should get additional sponsorship. That's fine. But your talent still gets you into the first league, for example.
Right.
Which in motorsport, it doesn't at this point, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
So what we're doing and what we're launching this weekend, or showing the world for the first time, is our own F4 car. So we're closing the loop. So we're building a system that is F4, F3, F2 also over the next years. And then the winners of Karting League will feed this sort of FAT.
Is this your design, this F4 kart?
No.
Okay.
We're just gonna like enter cars into the current system.
Got it. I see. Okay.
We will do like, you know, we will own like this massive team of like 8 F4 cars, 3 F3 cars, 2 F2 cars.
But the livery is our design.
Yeah, and they're your drivers. It's basically it's drivers that theoretically come up through the system.
They can only come up through the system.
Yeah,
they can't
that's
come
the
up
genius
like
part.
we've got like this system called like FAT points as well. So if you come in at like 5 years old, you're collecting like your FAT points,
Right.
all the way to like your age appropriate, like 15, 16. You get to the world final. If you're good enough, like we'll select you to go into a shootout. So like next year, Ferdi already mentioned the world final that we'll do in Willow Springs on December the 14th.
It's an open event. Everybody can come support the kids.
Yeah, definitely. And there, from the top junior category, we will choose the best 4 drivers, and then we'll put them into a week-long shootout in UK and the south of Spain on next February.
Wow.
And from there, so
January.
they'll drive. Okay, January. Yeah.
January.
He's the date.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's exciting, though. That's
Super cool. I mean, that would have been my dream, hononestly, as like a 16-year-old to spend a week.
Can you imagine?
Because we're putting them into simulators, karts, the F4 car.
Yeah.
We're doing press trainings with them. Like we're really like trying to figure out from the 4 kids that made it to that point, who will be the fastest.
That's great.
So many questions.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you guys been running this program, so FAT Karting in the US?
This is the first year. So we opened, the second hub was Indy and like Chicago area. That was when Q2.
No, April of this year.
That's Q2.
Yes, Q2. That is Q2. It's like the half-4 thing.
Yeah, we still have no idea.
And then the Southern California hub we launched in August. So we're fairly new in the US.
What's the talent like in the US? And feel free to break our hearts. Like, I know the UK has probably a lot more history and around karting, but so far...
Maybe one general thing. The cool thing about Karting League also, which is very different to the system that exists already, is we have 40% girls or 37% girls, which is cool because actually like it's one of those few sports that boys and girls physiologically can both compete at and be good at.
I mean, I was just reading, you know, like F1 fans right now, the fastest growing segment is women age like 14 to 32 fans. Or something. Or no, sorry, 14 to 24. Yeah. And it's like, it's really rapidly growing. Right.
Yeah.
So that's great.
How are the kids in the US? Fast, right?
Yeah. I mean, it will be like, we got to put them on the same track, which is why we come together in a world final. Like, we kind of have a decent idea of where they all rank now, but we need to get them on the same track. Which we'll do in Willow Springs, and then we'll see where that comes out. So the way it will work actually is that there's 2 like junior categories, 2 weight categories, and so we will pick. So the person who wins the whole event, it's not just a final. Let's say, you know, they've got to win the whole event over the 3 days. So we'll pick one from it. So they will self-select from each category, and then Ferdi and I and another group of people get to pick 2 wild cards as well.
Oh, cool.
So we kind of see that, okay, maybe this guy didn't have like such a great world final.
Sure.
But we think that, you know, they deserve a
talent's
shot.
there.
Looking at the data, over the full season,
sure.
we see that there's some talent. Blah blah.
So you think, I mean, America, you guys have set up 2 regions now here. We have a large population that likes a certain genre of motorsports that karting doesn't normally align with, which is NASCAR. And
F1 has exploded.
I know,
in this
but
country.
so you feel like this marketplace though is hugely untapped.
Yeah, I think for one, karting is kind of can be the base to any sport, to any motorsport, right? Can be rallying, can be IndyCar, can be NASCAR, whatever, right? The junior sport is always karting in a sense. So that's for one. Second, I think the US is like a fast growing market in terms of Formula One specifically, but also motorsport in general. It's a huge country, as you said.
Well, Indy viewership is also like best year ever so far as 2025. And I know like this year, COTA, the F1 race, or 24 was like 430,000 people
Yeah, it's
showed
huge.
up.
It's huge.
And the year before was 440. So
Yeah.
it was like it's the biggest F1 race by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
Okay.
So
Let me throw some stones at this though. Okay, so first of all,
Do it. We'll throw back though.
hey, look, we got K1 speed here. We got one in Torrance. Like I can go there. It's pretty democratized. I can my kid can go in there. They're
Yeah.
pretty fast. There's a leaderboard. Like
Nice.
okay, so you guys just totally poo poo that leisure stuff has no business. There's nothing. There's no kid who does well at K1 could ever hope to achieve.
No, I wouldn't say that.
No.
I think like you can do all sorts of karting, right? You can also just drive around. Like I mean, it's not like there's only us and then there's the 150K solution to karting, right? There's many, but I think we're unique in a sense that we are a merit-based system that will make it very easy for you to come to be a part of it. And if you're fast, we'll find you, we'll spot you, and then we have the ladder also, right? We'll bring you into F4,
Right.
F3, F2, and
yeah,
if you're
K1's
good.
not bringing you to F4. You know,
But
I don't even know. Like they could, right? Then we would just compete in F4.
I don't think they are. I think they're just a business that is.
And it's different. I think like what K1 are doing is great, right? You know,
yeah.
they're
So fun,
but
yeah.
it's a different area of the market.
They have pizza. I mean,
Yeah, they have pizza, and it's the same. You know, like the guys in the UK who have a really big footprint there. You know, like we're good partners with them, right? Team sport. We kind of help them. We want to see their kids come out. They're big fans of ours because you know they get kids that you know they come in and they will start on the indoor stuff, which is slower, heavier, all the stuff that we've just talked about. But that's fine because these karts have to last a lifetime, right?
Right.
You know, it's $40 per half an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
The problem is then what do the kids do to get to the top of that? Where do they go? So for people like, you know, K1, for people like Team Sport, where do you guide someone when you're spending like, you know, $150 a month and the next step is like, you know, 10 grand a month? It's like, okay, like, is there something in the middle? So
Right.
like, so they like us because we offer like a throughput to their better drivers, you know. I think we're differentiated. We filled a hole in the market that was there very well, I would say.
And also, I mean, it's a sport that 1.6 billion people watch, right? And it's constantly growing. So I think there's
There's
room
enough
for
space for
there's enough space for
yeah.
everybody, I think. And then at this point, it becomes a question if you want to drive a Porsche or something else.
My second question then is, when you talk about racing,
Mr. Ferrari.
when you talk about racing and kids, where do video games, where does sim racing come into this? Is it additive? Yeah, like my kid's great he's great in Gran Turismo. Does he have any hope? Does it translate to this?
I think it does actually. I mean, one, it gives you like, I think it's a similar story to what Rob just said to leisure karting. Anything that you do in this sport and that where you like, if you're good at, I mean, it's the same features in a sense, right? Also in sim racing, I don't think sim racing alone will get you, or necessarily will get you into a proper racing career. I think you do need some seat time in the end also.
Sure.
But it's a great way to enter also. And I
learn
think
the
at
track.
some point, like when this really works, maybe sim racing becomes a sort of qualifier because we won't have enough seats in all the hubs. So that's how we think about sim racing, right? At some point, maybe it becomes a sort of qualifier.
And I'm just curious. So you said within 5 years you want to have 50 markets.
Hubs.
Yeah.
Hubs. I mean, so you're going to be. This is a full-time job. You're just going to be opening hubs like for 5. I mean, sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but I think like one, it's fun, and two, I think that the whole system, like this really becomes proper the more talent we have, right? And to the more places we bring this to, the more diversity, the more fun, the more different people, like the more data we will collect about the kids and who's fast.
Can you tell us
that's the whole idea.
Your next US hub?
Can we?
Can we?
Yes, you can. Yes, we can.
So the next one is Texas.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
that's-
okay.
yeah,
So
that's
like
smart, yeah.
Austin, Houston, or like the whole state of Texas.
So we'll be up in Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth, as far down as Austin.
Yeah.
Gotta get down to Austin. Come on, like
Amen.
I love LA, but Austin's so cool.
Yeah, and they got COTA right there.
it's
You
sorta
know,
cool.
Yeah.
COTA's a good facility.
I think over the next years, the US can or will probably have something like 10 hubs.
Wow. Holy moly.
for us.
And then
it's
what
a big
about
country.
Europe?
What's your next
What about-
international?
It's a big
hub?
country, and also we can maybe like have hubs that kind of travel, right? So they spend some time in the winter, they're further south, and in the summer they're further up.
So if
I
you
think
did a
there's
German
also
one, you'd go to Portugal and Spain in the
no, not
winter.
like this, but like I think in the DACH region, I think you can also like even in wintertime, you can like it's okay to kind of keep it there.
Okay.
So DACH will for sure get a hub. Northern Italy, we want to get a hub too. Spain, France, Portugal.
Yeah.
So
China? Come on.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. We got to like if this is going to be global, we got to be in China. We got to be in Africa, and we're already in advanced talks about going to Africa,
Kenya,
and we got to be in India. Right, you got to be in those three places.
Wow, big, lots of
Because,
population. Yeah,
like talent is everywhere, opportunity isn't. So we're creating the opportunity.
Right, nice. Oh, good.
That's
That's
super-
great.
super
That's
rad.
super cool.
Okay, let's take it down to brass tacks. Okay, we're in your third hub. John, your son's 8.
He's 8 and he loves K1 and he wanted to sign up for the league and I was like, there's this FAT thing happening. Let's
Okay, my
check this
kid
out.
he's gonna actually turn 5 next Friday.
nice.
I looked
Wow,
at your
really?
I looked at your minimum requirements. He is just over he's about 43 inches tall. That's 110 centimeters, and he actually might not be 21 kilos yet, but let's say he is.
Give him
okay?
a couple protein shakes.
I wish. He doesn't
Fat.
need anything.
Fat
How
athletes.
does it work? So, is there an event tomorrow? Is that correct? No.
Yeah.
Okay, so
There's
let's
an
say
event around the Willow reimagined opening thingy. There's
Okay.
our karting league is already in Willow.
And if there was, I didn't check to see if I could sign him up for that. But let's say I did, I could show up with him if he was 6 years old and met the 43 inches tall and 46 pound limits, and he has zero
Okay,
experience.
perfect.
Okay.
Right. So we built a program which we call Ready to Race, driver training essentially.
Okay.
And that over a series of, you can basically do everything in one weekend. It's a series of like 3 to 4 half days. So if you wanted to, you could just do everything in one weekend. We'll take you from never having sat in a kart before to be ready to race. So it's a fairly imaginative title, right? The program, Ready to Race. So that was British irony, by the way. This is all the deadpan, like, what's this guy talking about?
Half 4. Very cheeky. Very cheeky.
Cheeky gin and tonic.
Bloody cheeky. Go ahead.
And basically, so you start on you go through these 3 levels. So we'd start him on level 1. The beauty about the electric drivetrain is that we can turn it right down to almost walking pace, because the worst thing you can do with a 6-year-old is put them in something that is doing at full speed. The little karts will do 25 mile an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that's really, really fast for a tiny kid that's never sat in anything before. So we kind of turn it down to walking speed. We've got a whole coaching system and a 10-point plan for each of these different levels, and we just walk the kids through them, and we bring them on in a really safe way that they're super confident by the end of it. They'll then graduate to level 2. They'll go and do level 2 for half a day, and then they'll graduate to level 3. And all the time we're increasing the power. We're asking more of them. We're teaching them more skills. By the end of it, they're ready to race. And then you just buy a season pass and you enter into the championship. It is so simple.
And all the safety equipment for that, even from the very beginning, the helmet, the suit, and the neck protector is available. But we need to buy a rib protector or something. Or
So what happens is when you come to us, because when you come to us for the first time, and I'm now assuming that you're going to be a new customer.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ferdi's going to come.
Maybe not.
I've got the contract with me.
Perfect. I'm gonna talk to my wife
the
about
season
tomorrow.
pass.
December.
Yeah.
Are you doing it at December at the finals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we doing a ready to race next to the finals? No, the finals is literally just the finals.
Okay. All right.
No,
But the hub is here, so
There's
Okay,
tons
yeah.
of opportunity.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Look at
we'll
the
check it
calendar
out.
here and
For sure.
and
We'll do it.
bring him down. So when you first come to us in the Ready to Race program, we supply all the PPE. We supply the helmet and the suit, because we've got a pool of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you're
And
going to
kids
start,
grow, so yeah. It's brilliant.
and the other thing is what we recognize. We wanted to do it like that because maybe he comes down, he doesn't like it, right? And then you've just dropped
Yes.
maybe $500 on suit and helmet and all the rest of it. So, but once you get in, so we have a pool of stuff for our driver training program. Once you're going to do the racing, then the parents would buy their own equipment. So that's the only capital outlay that we require.
Okay. Very cool. And then I have a question. How do you know my kid, early reader, can't get him to ride a pedal bicycle. He's also pretty shit on the scooter. Like, I don't have
One day he's going to see this and he's going to be like, Dad.
Well, it's true. You were like,
but you know what? My kid was never great on any of that. Put him on a cart and like he just loved it. And like he was in some race with like there was like 8 kids and he was somehow leading. And then his cart ran out of battery and he like laid down on the couch at K1 and cried. Yeah. He was inconsolable for a half hour. And I'm like, the battery died. It's not your fault. Mechanical. It happens to the best drivers. And he just couldn't take it.
Are there any clues when kids are so young about having the coordination or the skill to being a driver?
Yeah,
any tip off?
Kind of. I mean, it's all about hand-eye coordination, right?
Okay.
You know, it's all about what they can feel, like whether or not you see the kids who pick up, like they start getting the right lines. You know, we'll teach them the right lines, but at 5, 6, it's not so hard, not so easy to comprehend.
Okay.
But you start seeing it straight away. You start seeing the drivers who can drive.
Okay.
You know, I think there are signs, but then all kids, you know, it's like football. So when I was soccer, sorry, yeah. Soccer, half full, cheeky gin and tonic. We'll be getting a cheeky gin and tonic.
I'm with him on that one. It's called football.
It's
soccer,
so it's like football, right?
Footy. You can say footy.
Footy. It's like footy.
Yeah.
So when I was very young, I was actually a very, very good football player.
Very hard to believe.
I maybe exaggerate. No, but I was a decent player, and I used to play at a very high level. And then what happened was
only penalties he sucks.
Yeah. We're not very good at penalties.
Only Germans and British will get this joke.
But then obviously, like, I stopped growing, especially in terms of like, you know, how bulky I was. Other kids like develop skills like better than me, and you end up like being fairly mediocre, right? I think that happens in all sports.
Sure.
And so I think if you take your kid and they're not very good at it, you know, maybe they're going to develop. And we're trying to work all this out as well. Like we use like a lot of artificial intelligence to try to say you know, at very early stage, you know, the talent ID system that we talked about, at very early stage, if a kid sat in the cart for, you know, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, we can start to see trends and we can start to see like, are they like way above the median and are they going to track way above the median? And that like tells us like, okay, there's a big alarm that goes off back in Oxfordshire and Vienna and says, woo, woo.
Right, keep an eye on this one. Right.
Okay. This is awesome.
Get first refusal quick.
So let me just review a couple things. And this episode is going to come out after the October 11th sessions go on.
Yeah.
But for those of you who listen or in California or know about Willow Springs International Raceway up in Rosamond,
we should mention they went from like a real sketchy go-kart track to like it looks like the best one in the world right now. I mean, I saw James Pomfrey showed me like a drone shot because he's filming a movie out there with Sun Kang, and I was like, that's a karting track. Like it's got runoff and it's colorful.
Willow got a glow up, as the kids say. It looks beautiful. The practice session that we talked about tickets start from $384 per the website for tomorrow. And then if you do any of these, the regional round 1 practice is $420. And then if you go up and you're in the regional championship or the pro championship, this is the season pass, starts at $3,145 bucks. Well, that all sounds pretty reasonable.
Doable, yeah.
Especially if like your kid plays hockey or something crazy where you got to buy pads and helmets and gear every year.
I bought a tennis racket. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Forget about it. Yeah, kids are
tremendous.
They take all your money.
Do the prices? They don't. I was going to check the Midwest. Do they vary by hub or no?
They only vary because of the amount of races that you can do. So like in the Midwest this year, we were doing more races. We had to compress.
We started earlier.
Yeah, because we started early. We started in April, where we had to compress like a little bit, so there's fewer races. So it's kind of just pro-rata to the amount of time the kids
weather
are
dependent.
And they vary in the UK to the US. They vary a little bit.
So speaking of weather, I was wondering if we could change the topic here for a second. You're going to Montana.
Yes. The ice race.
So the FAT ice race in Montana.
Yes. So I mean, ice race kind of originally comes from Austria, right? That's
Yeah.
where it's an historic event that we revived
ZLMZ.
in 2019 for the first time. But that doesn't mean it can only be in Vienna, right?
Right.
And we always, over the last years, also saw like a huge increase of Americans coming, and like this is such a cool sort of motorsport savvy or like car culture country, especially LA, especially Car Week. There's so many, like, I have a ton of friends here.
Yeah.
So I figured why not try and bring it here. So Big Sky, Montana, end of February.
Yeah.
Assuming there's snow.
Yeah,
There will be
but
snow.
Montana
Montana's pretty
usually
good.
has snow.
Yeah,
I think
Montana's
Cell is
safe
probably
bet.
more of a risk for snow because we're not super high up.
Right.
But I think Montana's A, high up, B, it's rather cold, and we don't need much snow, right? We need like cold temperatures, and then we can create the ice.
It's all frozen. I mean, it's frozen lake racing.
It's not on a lake. No,
It's not on a lake.
That's not allowed anymore. Like, at least in Europe, it wouldn't be. And in Montana, we didn't find a lake, so it's next to a golf course
Okay,
in a really
perfect.
nice setting. Big Sky, so that's what, an hour from Bozeman, I guess, 45 minutes.
And is it a 1 day or 2 days?
2 days.
2
So
days.
different to Austria, 2 days.
Okay.
Lots of parties around it.
Yeah.
As I said, fun over speed.
Yeah,
Less cars, just because we don't have that much space. So 50 to 60 cars, something. So really trying to curate a crazy collection of cars, something that you
all-
usually wouldn't see.
Okay. Are they all exotics? Vintage exotics or race?
It's everything.
anything?
So
Okay.
in Cell, for example, we had everything from like this Eastern German trubby things all the way to like an F1 car and Max Verstappen driving it. So that's kind of the idea. Last time we had the event in the US in Aspen, we had a GT1, the Le Mans winning car drive on ice, but we also had like a BMW 2002. So
I mean,
it's
it was-
literally like the whole idea is to display or like to show the car world, basically, like what's
Yeah, and
happening.
it's so cool. I mean,
what's
the
cool.
one that blew me away when I was there were the little Audi S1s, and they like were just like straight piped.
They
like,
were
spitting
fast.
fire. They were just the coolest things. But then, like
Yeah.
there was like Beetles, and the Grenadier pickup truck, like jacked up, whatever it's called.
I
The
was going to make a joke because
Quartermaster.
in California we have all these Montana plated
Yeah.
exotics. Oh, great! That weekend, all those cars will be.
Well, I'm trying to get-
back
I'm
in
trying to
Montana.
They
get-
will actually be in Montana.
I'm trying to get two of. I don't know. I think one might have a Montana plate, but I got some cool cars. You'll meet them tomorrow, my buddies.
Nice.
So,
yeah, you should come, guys. I think
I'm
it's really going to be
coming. Oh, I'm there.
it's going to be a mega event, and also
I'm there.
kind of first time at a new location, second time in the US, and yeah.
So FAT's
it's a
got
good-
the karting league. You got the ice racing. You get this driver development F4
Fat racing.
Fat racing.
Yeah, we got a coffee place on Großglockner, which is the highest mountain in Austria and one of the best driving roads ever.
Such a good road.
We
Yeah.
do like 4 or 5 big events a year. It's only open in summertime, but you can always like rock up and like
You
it's
start a
usually
private
open.
jet program or something.
We
What else-
don't
what else
have a
you got
private
going?
jet program.
Clothing? You do clothing?
Watch?
We do clothing. Yeah, we do some collabs.
Yeah, the
so
Porsche
we do
design,
clothing. We
Fat
try
Mankey.
to. So basically, the whole idea, or what I think everybody, right? Like if you look at what racing looked like in the 80s or 90s or 70s, everything was like better designed, more attention to detail. There was a graphic designer who once looked at this before it was printed.
Right.
Like people just took more care of all that stuff, and like we try to bring that like quality back to
And
everything we
also
do with
be-
FAT.
Because racing wasn't $1 billion a season like F1 is now or whatever it actually cost. You had like one sponsor, and so the cars were beautiful, you know. Like and now there's like 80,000 sponsors, and everywhere there's a GoPro. There's like got to have
Yeah.
5 logos, and it just looks a mess.
Yeah,
So,
it looks shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look shit. It's true.
Yeah, no, right? I mean, that's
Yeah,
because I
sure.
remember at Rennsport, you brought or you not brought, but you were driving. It was that 962.
Yeah.
With the FAT International on it, and it was like it's the white car with one logo, and it was
Yes.
it just stood out in like a sea of Porsches. Somehow this one was like, God, that's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, like, think about like the McLarens of the
yeah.
the Senna Prost McLarens, like the
Oh, yeah.
MP488. I mean, they were
Porsche
so
engine.
beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, Porsche engine. They were.
I mean, at least the early ones. The early ones.
Yeah.
Then it
a little
switched
bit
to
before
something.
that. But then, like even the ones with the Honda engine. Am I allowed to say that? Yeah.
Yes, you are allowed to say that.
Yeah.
That's a competitor brand to the mothership.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, they were
Gorgeous.
beautiful, right?
Gorgeous.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of like we both love that era, you know. And like even like when I like started in Formula One, like the things were just so simple. I don't know whether I look at it with rose tinted
When did you start? What year?
97.
Okay.
1897.
1897. Yeah, just to be clear.
I thought we would spend like 30 minutes just talking to Rob about his career as a race engineer supporting drivers like Felipe Massa, including through the era where he had the spring hit him in the face. But we're out of time, so we're going to have you guys back on. Probably somewhere between the 40th and 50th hub launch, or whenever it opens in India or China, just to get an update on how this is all going.
I like that.
But this has been super awesome. The site, the best place for more information, right, is FAT-kartingleague.com. That's FAT hyphen karting with a K, league.com. And you can see the California events, the UK events, everything in one place. Buy tickets. Where's the merch? I want to get some merch. Is it on the site too?
That's FAT-international.com.
FAT International for the cool swag. And it's been super awesome to have you on. We got you out of here at 5:30.
Legends, thank you. I need a shower.
Might
This
be
is
half
not
4.
5.
It's half
This
4.
is half 4. So 4:30, please. To
It's
all of
halfway
you
to 5
American
o'clock.
people.
It's
Yeah.
4:30.
4:30.
Yeah.
It's 5:30. No?
It's not half 5.
It's halfway to 5 o'clock.
It's halfway.
No.
We would like in Germany.
sorry,
in Germany, it would also
sorry.
be 5:30.
I know, but like,
Because that's logical. Not logical. They just say half 4.
They also drive on the wrong side of the road, so I
I know,
don't think
they
they
got
like.
some
I don't think.
issues.
I'm
I
about to
know.
turn 50. I've never heard anybody say 5:30 is anything.
half
but
past 4.
So,
4:30. Yes, that's
Not
4:30.
halfway to 4.
No.
How can you now agree? You're
No, you just like said it or whatever.
it's just
No,
one of those
hopeless.
things.
It's
Whenever
hopeless.
anyone
Hopeless.
says to me half whatever, I look at my watch. I go, "Do you mean 4:30?" They go, "Yes." I go, "Great."
Half
you know.
4 is
This
three-
is
it's
the first
3:30.
time in the, the 33 years I've been on the planet that I've ever heard this utter confusion and nonsense.
Well,
I'm in agreement. I'm in complete agreement.
Welcome to Los Angeles.
Our language, we invented it.
two people,
yeah.
two great people separated by a common language. Kipling, I think, said
All
that.
right. Thanks for coming on. It was awesome chatting with you guys. And best of luck. This sounds amazing. And I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to sign my kid up for this to help with what my wife thinks.
Thank you.